Good morning to all. I am Sumithra, working as an associate professor in RMD Engineering College. In this semester, I am handling principles of management for third year students. Now, in this lecture, I am going to discuss about Unit 4, which is dealing with the directing. So, directing is one of the fundamental uh, principles of management, which is followed by planning, organizing, and staffing. So directing seems to be the required phenomenon in each and every organization. Even an organization is said to have proper planning and organizing. Even staffing also is done in a proper manner. But without proper directing person, the organization cannot be able to achieve its objectives in an efficient manner. So now we are going to see the importance of directing and what do you mean by directing in general. So, directing can lead any person to achieve a success or failure. It depends upon the way in which he is directing. So now, so it can be considered as a function of the management, as I already mentioned you, and most probably in all the organization, it is being performed by the top level management people, so that it can be able to achieve the organizational goals, and almost it is an important and necessary functions of a management. So this directing function includes the various activities like starting from guiding the people and insisting the people how to do the work and how to utilize the organizational resources in an effective manner, and also along with that a directing person need to be inspired by the employees. At the same time, they'll be leading them as a good leader along with some supervision phenomenon. So these are the required functions to be taking care of the directing person. So definition, there exist many definition based on the different authors. According to Marshall, so it is a process which is involving the action of determining the course and by giving instructions and order so that they can provide a dynamic leadership. And similarly, Terry defined this directing as an activating means and moving into action by providing or supplying the simulative power to the group. So, as I mentioned already, it is the one which will tell the people what is to be done and how that can be do, right, and at what time, at what utilizing what resources this can be done in an effective manner. And at the same time, they must be in a position to issue the instructions and the orders to the subordinates. Along with this insisting and giving instructions, they need to be inspired by the employees, so then only they will contribute towards the achievement of the individual as well as the organizational objectives. So after inspiring them, they need to supervise or monitor the activities also, thereby providing a proper leadership and along with some motivation factors. So here comes the elements of direction. So here listed with five factors like communication, leadership, motivation, supervision, and coordination, which means that these elements are required for becoming or for being a good direction or directing person. So communication is playing a vital role in directing. So this is nothing but commune. In the word communication itself, the term commune means transferring some common information. It may be between any two person or between a group of individuals. So communication means sharing of information between two or more individuals or a group to reach a common understanding. So, importance means if there exists a proper communication, then definitely the organization will be in a position to attain the objectives in an effective manner by increasing the efficiency in terms of certain new technologies, and also the customers will getting involved. Proper responsiveness from the customers can be able to get improved, and then they can be provided more innovation through a proper communication, and the quality of the products and the services may be getting improved. And in a communication process, it requires two phases, namely the transmission phase and the receiving, that is the feedback phase. And this is the diagram which explains you about the communication process. So whereas in the transmission phase, the message is first getting encoded for providing a proper security of a privacy, and with the help of a transmission medium, the encoded message will be getting transferred, and then at the receiver, in order to get the original message, it has to be decoded by using a proper decoding medium, and then we need to go for a feedback phase to ensure that whether the received message and the transferred message are one and the same. So again, in the feedback phase, the same encoding decoding will be followed, So thereby, a communication process will require two phases, namely the transmission phase and the that is feedback phase. And there exist so many effective methods of communicating by means of either speaking or writing or by using some signs uh, visual images or body languages, something like that. And for a communication process to be done in an effective manner, it requires the following elements like sender, message is an essential thing, encoding, and then receiver, medium, and decoding. Finally comes the noise. Noise is nothing but the one which is coming along with the message whenever it has to be traveled through a medium, right? So whenever the message is traveled through through a medium, there is a possibility for that message to be getting accompanied with the noise, which is an unwanted one. And there exist two modes of communication, namely the verbal and non-verbal. Verbal means the encoding messages will be either in the form of words, either written or by means of spoken. And non-verbal means it includes the signs, facial expressions, and body language, etc. So communication media, there exist different medias for communicating the informations like face-to-face media, which is said to have the highest information richness, and it will take the advantages of both the verbal and non-verbal signals. And then the spoken communication can also be transmitted electronically through the telephones, which has the second highest information richness. And here the communication is done with the help of the tone of the voice, sender emphasis, and quick feedback is possible with this kind of transformation medium. And then in some other cases, we'll be going for presenting the message through a personally addressed written communication by means of letters. This seems to as a lower richness value, and the personal letters and emails are most common forms. Actually, after sending the message, the receiver will be receiving the message only after a predetermined period of time. This will take a lot of time, and through emails also we can able to provide the communication. That is, emails allows the telecommuting employees to even work from the home also. But while doing such communication transfer, there should be we should be care enough to provide errorless message. That is, after checking the spelling mistake also, we need to provide the communication. Spell check has to be done. Okay, in personal written communication, which one is said to have the lowest information richness, and this is good for the messages for many receivers where only a little feedback is expected. Okay. And regarding the communication networks which is happening in groups and teams, there exist only four different modes of network like wheel network, chain network, circle network, and all channel network. And here is the representation for all the four networks. Coming to the wheel network, here the communication is only from the center person to all the other person. So that's why it is in the form of a wheel. So in case of wheel network, the information only flows to and fro from a central member. And in case of chain network is something like this. The members will be receiving the communication only from the member who is lying above him. So that is in a chain manner. That is, members communicate only with the people next to them in the sequence. So he can able to communicate with him, and this person can be able to communicate with him only. Like this, it is following a chain action. Whereas in the circle network, members can communicate with others close to them. That is, he is able to communicate with this person at the same time he can able to communicate with this person also, which is happening. The communication happening with the person remaining close to them. And in case of all channel network, the communication will be there between each and every individual, right? And most probably, this kind of channel network or channel network will be suitable for the persons working in persons working in inter departments, because they need to coordinate the functions of each and every department in order to attain the overall organization objectives. So this kind of all channel network will be there in case of high level management people. So this is the representation. Next comes the technological advancements which are taking place in communication. Nowadays, we all know that through internet and through World Wide Web and through intranets, there exists lot of technological advancements through which the communication can be done in an effective manner. So, whereas internet is nothing but a global system of computer networks that is easy to join, and it is used by the employees to communicate inside and outside the companies. And whereas the World Wide Web is used with multimedia capabilities, and intranets, a company-wide system of computer networks is provided for the employees for sharing the information within the firm. So these are the many technological advancements which is presently available to promote the communication media. So, like new technologies like informational databases, electronic mail system, voicemail system, fax machine system, cellular phone system, everything is there. So barriers at the same time, there which one we can refer as a barrier means if the message is unclear and if the message is incomplete or if it is difficult to understand by the receiver, then these factors will be acting as an actual barrier for a communication. Also, messages with no provision of feedback. Without feedback phase, if you are transferring any particular message, then the receiver they might not be knowing whether they are receiving the exact information or not, right? And similarly, if the messages are misunderstood, then also that it is acting as a barrier. Okay, so there exist some barriers also, and strictly speaking, only there exist four different directions for communication, namely the downward direction, that is, it travels from the superior to the subordinates, and the superiors will be using this channel for communication to instruct the employees to do the specific task just by giving some job instruction, and also to give some information regarding the organizational policies, original procedures, and practices, everything, and also to tell the subordinates about the performance and to provide the ideological type information to facilitate the goals. Next comes the upward communication, and it travels from the subordinate to the superior. So the main purpose why we are using this kind of communication is to provide a feedback on how well the things are being done by the subordinates, and it also provides a pathway for the middle level managers to represent their to provide the opportunity for representing the subordinates to the upper level managers. And later communication, so this type of communication will be happening in the people who are at the same level of management hierarchy. And why there exists such a communication direction is that in order to provide a coordination and teamwork. And last one is the diagonal communication. It occurs between the people who are either neither in the same department nor in the same level of management hierarchy. In this case, someone communicates in either downward or upward with someone in another functional area. So with this, I'll be winding up the session. In the next session, I'll be explaining about the motivation process. Thank you all.